Welcome to another riveting episode of Stacking Triggers, where we are here trying to spike it out. I'm your host, Bill, and joining me today is...
a man choking to death randomly. He took a breath in and started dying. I'm Dan.
Dan, it's great to see you this week. Today, we are going over your destination RCQ, some Wilds of Eldraine reprints, and I am trying really hard to not laugh while you are dying.
I don't know
camera.
What the fuck happened. That was awful. Oh my god. I just had like a collection of spit in my mouth. I went, as I'm ready to talk, I just inhaled it.
Well, Dan, I'm glad that you are alive, because I don't know if I could do this on my own. How have you been?
I'm okay. I've been playing a lot of paper Magic and a lot of Magic Online. It's like you've seen on the YouTube. Like if you're following along with the podcast, you know that we have a YouTube channel. We post League videos there. One League match every day during the weekdays, weekly. Each of us have a League each day. So like, there's a lot of Magic the Gathering content. And as you know, Dan doesn't win a lot. And in paper, I also don't win a lot. Which is, I don't know what happens in paper where I just don't win, but it is what it is. But yeah, I'm just not winning a lot, but it's okay. It's Magic. Eventually I'll get over it. And, when it actually matters, I'll win games, I guess.
Listen, you won the RCQ. That was like the best thing.
Yeah.
The Magic gods have to now make you suffer in turmoil, being like, was this a fluke or was it skill?
Yes. Everything you said was robotic for me for whatever reason. I don't know why, but it was.
No.
It's my internet. It's my wife, and she's getting off her stuff on the internet. So I'm just slowly removing shit from being online. It's fine.
It's fine.
So whatever you said, yes.
Yes. All right. Perfect. Well, I haven't unfortunately gotten to play a lot of Magic other than our League videos.
Sure.
My kids were sick, and then I was sick, and then all last week I had to be in California for work. So, work does not appreciate MTGO on their machines. So didn't get to record any or play any last week, but hoping to play more this week.
Yeah. I mean, Magic is a hobby for us still. Like it shouldn't be all encompassing. Like, I think we play about 2 hours of a League a week, and then like if you can go to F&M, which ultimately is more time than we spend playing a League in a week. So
that's true, yeah, more time, and then of course higher variance,
much higher variance, much weirder stuff. So yeah, in terms of Magic, I messaged it to you like right before we started recording, but I played 2 League videos that are coming up, and it's just like when my opponents play decks, it's like tier 0, like get everything they ever need ever, and always have responses and answers to what I have. And then when I play that exact same deck, it's like tier 57 dog shit, like no one should ever play this deck ever kind of stuff. Like it's wild.
I feel like you and I are in a weird spot right now, because like I feel like you and I are too competitive for casual.
Yes.
But we're not quite at that point where we're good enough to be good at competitive.
Also, yes.
So yeah. So we're like, we're just in this very frustrating point where if we play casual, we get yelled at for pub stomping. Mm-hmm. But if we don't play casual, we get pub stomped.
Right. And we get frustrated because like eventually at some point losing feels bad. Like even if you're the most casual player, losing feels bad at some point.
Yeah, exactly. But you know what? Half the reason of the podcast is for us to play League every day to get better. Well, I'm not the podcast, but the YouTube videos.
Yeah, the whole
thing. A League match a day to get better. So it's fantastic. Yeah. Speaking of getting better, though, you got some more RCQ experience in this past couple of weeks.
Yes.
What was that like? It says here that you went to a destination RCQ.
Yes.
I don't know what that is compared to a regular RCQ.
So I don't either, but I have guesses. So basically, the way I understand destination RCQs to work is that you, as a tournament store, get to set up a sort of like convention, which is what it was. It was the gathering. That was like a pseudo convention where you have other vendors come in and you have a big main event prize with like, you know, the overall event prize for Modern was 10K, and that went to, you know, the top 32. The Pioneer 5K, you know, that went to, I think, just the top 16. But like, you get to choose what your format is. For the main event, it was Modern because that is the most popular format in my area, and I think in a lot of areas. But other than that, I think it just has to be like some kind of convention with multiple vendors, and that's what makes it a destination RCQ. But I'm not a store person, so I don't know for sure.
Yeah, that makes sense. Like, so it's not just. It seems like they had more than one RCQ slot to give as well, right? Because I believe you said there was the Modern, which was the main event. Yeah, I think there's also a Pioneer RCQ at this event as well, right?
Yes. And the other thing too with the Modern event, and it was like 250 players ish. No, it was like 237. And I got a little cheat sheet from when I won my RCQ back in July. That's like, hey, if you have this many players, this is how many rounds of Swiss you're going to have. But I guess with the Destination RCQ, it also allows you to choose whatever the tournament structure that you want to have is. So for this Destination RCQ for the Modern main event, it was 7 rounds of Swiss on day 1. You need 12 points, aka 4 wins, to get to day 2, to qualify for day 2.
Mm-hmm.
And then day 2, you play 3 more rounds of Swiss, and then you top cut into top 8. So
that's so much Magic.
In theory, there's 14 total rounds of Magic being played at this. And my big complaint with the event was that they never made it clear that there was going to be a day 2 with the event. I always assumed it was just a one day, we'll do, 7, 8 rounds of Swiss and then we'll do a top cut.
Dang, yeah.
No, they did. I think I talked to a couple other people and they were all very surprised too. Like, oh, I didn't realize this was going to be a 2-day event. And there were people I saw in like Young Dingo's Twitch chat who went to the gathering who were qualified for day 2 and like, I didn't get a hotel. Like, I just assumed this was going to be all on one day. So like, I'm just have to drop the event because like I can't make that kind of time commitment for a 2-day event.
Yeah, especially because I think he said somebody made the top or like the next day cut, but they had to leave.
Yeah,
because they didn't have the hotel. Oh yeah. Sorry.
You're fine. You're good. It's late. Yeah. You have kids. Late. You have responsibility that drains your brain.
There is so much brain drain. It's like it comes out my nose.
Yeah. So the Modern event, I played Murktide. I played the Piganti list with the Piganti sideboard guide. I went 0-3. Match 1, I played against Jund Saga. I know it was Jund Saga because they were playing the 1-mana artifacts. They had like Misha's Research Desk, Chromatic Sphere. I think maybe Haywire might, but I can't remember for sure. But like Misha's Research Desk plus Chromatic Sphere tells you automatically that they are playing Urza Saga. It's just in the 2 games I played them, I never saw it once, which sucks. Because like I had dress downs for game 2, I had engineered explosives for game 2, and never seeing like any Saga tokens. That just sucks because like explosive clears them away for 2 mana. Dress down clears them away for 2 mana and cantrips because like it removes their abilities, so they become 0/0s. So like at any point I could have used all that stuff, but I just didn't, and I just couldn't because
you had fodder in your hand then, right?
Yeah. And I couldn't get anything to resolve because, Jund has some of the best removal in the game with Terminate, Fatal Push, Lightning Bolt, Unholy Heat. I think they run Unholy Heat. They could if they wanted to, or their list is just maybe too tight for that. So yeah, So like I just couldn't keep anything on the board long enough to win the game. So it just sucked. It was like, okay, I'm just getting overwhelmed here. So I just lose, I guess, which is okay. It happens. You have those games where you just lose.
Yeah. No, that it sucks, but
yeah,
it is what it is. The great millennial Sani.
Yeah. So round 2, I played against 4-color Omnath with Karn and the One Ring. So if you haven't seen this, it's an adaptation they're making where they're loading up on their turn 4 play, or really like turn 3 play, or whatever.
Yeah.
And playing like their Omnath, their One Ring, their Karn to get something packaged. Like, it's a very mid-range deck, so you need to get underneath them quickly. Game 1, I had them at 1 life. And they're like, just show me the bolt. And I'm like, I don't have the bolt. And they're like, okay, cool. And so they go, Omnath, fetch land, gain life, fetch land, gain life. And it's just like,
no.
All right, so the game's out of reach. I can't win. I thought I had a different avenue to win the game 2 as well, because they were at 1 life with a 3/5 Ledger Shredder on the board. And then I had a Murktide in hand that would have been like a 7/7 or an 8/8. But it was like, they have a Leyline Binding and they can get Solitude from Nissa, because they also had on the board. And I just had again, it was another theme where I just didn't have any like actual removal spells at all. I just wasn't drawing them, and it didn't make any sense. Where are my Unholy Heats? Where am I? Like, the bolts don't do as much. They can clear Nissa, and that's great. Right. But like, I need the Unholy Heats to kill this fucking Omnath. If I can just get rid of this Omnath, I can win the game. But I knew they had a Leyline Binding for a bit. I had played a Mishra's Bauble, and I saw, oh, you're drawing a Leyline Binding. Okay, well, you can get, you can Leyline Binding into, and then get like a Fury to kill actually, they couldn't have got a Fury. It had to be exactly Solitude plus Leyline Binding to remove both Murktide and Bird. And I'm like, okay, well, I know they have at least one of these, and there's a potential that they could play both. So I'm just not going to play the Murktide. And not playing the Murktide probably lost me the game, is probably what lost me the game, I think. But I don't know for sure. I think I was losing no matter what without that bolt, which sucks a lot, because I would have loved to just kill them with the lightning bolt and just have it over with. Mm-hmm. Game 2, I kept a risky 1-land Ragavan hand. And it was just basically like, if you have Path to Exile, or not Path to Exile, I keep saying Path to Exile when I mean Prismatic Endings. If you have Prismatic Ending, you just win the game. Because like, I'm never going to draw, and I never did draw a second land until like turn 6 with like, 6 draws, like 4 cantrips, a couple baubles in there. I just was not drawing a land, which like, that just wanted to show, like, don't keep those risky 1-land Ragavan hands. Like, even if the hand looks good with the Ragavan, you can do it sometimes.
You got it.
Like, your opponent can't have like that. Like, against Rhinos, you could do that and be okay. Because like, on the play, you just go Ragavan hit. And then they're not going to have something for 1 mana that removes anything unless they have the Dead Gone. But Dead Gone is kind of like falling out of favor a bit. Again, or like in Teamer Rhinos, I think it's still there, but that's beside the point. So yeah, I lost game 2 from that position. Then round 3, I played against Grixis Control. I was the second to last table, which, hooray.
Fantastic.
Lost game 1, won game 2. Just I resolved the Murktide and kept it there for the rest of the game. And really, once a Murktide hits the battlefield, and if it's large enough against Grixis Control, they don't do anything. Like, they can't kill it. They don't bounce it. They can't kill it with any of their spells. It just sits there. And it's just like, kill me, dog. Like, and
Come
then
at me, bro.
Yeah. And then in game 3, they just drew 4 Bowmasters, which against Murktide is impossible to ever beat, because you're just like trying to cantrip through them, and it's just like, I'm going to deal you damage and grow I'm going to deal you like an additional 2 damage each turn that you do that.
God.
So yeah, I couldn't get to my answers because of all the Bowmasters, which sucked a lot.
Right.
Because you have to like slow play around and get your removals, and it was just awful.
I wonder how many decks are thinking about running in the festivities because of all the Bowmasters coming in. Probably none, but it would be funny.
Yeah, it is probably none, but that is an interesting idea, actually.
Yeah, it's 1 mana, kill it.
Yeah, kill 2 things. I mean, that's what you see Cast in the Fire used for. That's what you see Fire Ice used for. So, like, I could see it. It could definitely be a card that you would see. But then the problem is they have like 2 Bowmasters on the battlefield, though they have a 2/2 Orc army. But I guess you are like 2-for-1ing still, I guess. So I think it's fine.
And you're preventing it from growing anymore.
Right. And then and also they've spent 4 mana to do that, and you spent 1 mana to clear their 2 4 mana card, like their 4 mana,
right?
Which is like great. So maybe that's an idea. We'll see. I might go and burn for like spectacle cards and such.
Yeah, because I think it deals 1 damage to the controlling player.
Yes,
too.
So you can like spectacle off of that.
Yeah,
interesting idea. Might have to try. So I dropped from there. I'm not playing the rest of that turn. Like I could win the next 4, but like I'm not going to prize because my breakers are so bad. I'm not going to top 8 because I've lost 3 games. My breakers are so bad. So like I was like, I'm done. Like I'm frustrated because like I don't feel like I was playing badly. I just feel like my opponent, again, as I continually say, their deck looked like a tier 0 deck, and my deck looked like a tier 57 deck.
You got it.
So I was like, fuck it. I'm just going to go play the Pioneer event. So the Pioneer event was 7 rounds of Swiss, which is, again, a lot, but immediately cut into top 8. So like,
and it was all in the same day.
All on the same day. So like, all right, cool. I can do that.
And this was the next day. You didn't play Modern and Pioneer in the same day.
Right. So the Modern event was Saturday. The Pioneer event was Sunday. So round 1, my opponent is late. And I'm like, all right, I guess I get a free like game 1 win. They come over with a judge, and the judge is like, all right, let me get like your deck list and all this stuff. And I'm like, what's going on? And like he eventually explains to me, I woke up late for the Modern event because I thought it started at 10, and then I just decided to drop and join the Pioneer event. And I have to.
I was also late for that.
And I'm also late for that. So because I was over the judges' table trying to get them to not DQ me from the Modern event. So I just joined the Pioneer event, and now I have to change around my deck list. And it's just like, I get all this shit happened to you, but like you still should like. Salt wise, I think they should have gotten a game 1 loss. Like,
I agree.
Like they wasted. My time was wasted. Like we got a time extension, but like my time was still wasted waiting for this.
Not only that though, but the rules clearly state if your opponent is 1 minute late, it's an automatic loss, right?
Yes. But I guess like the way the judges thought about it was like they're with a judge, they're working through something with the judge. But the problem is like the judge isn't coming over to communicate that with me until it's like well past the time for the
Not
judge.
Only that, but they were communicating an issue with a different tournament.
Yeah.
To then being like, oh well, then I'm just going to play the Pioneer tournament. But like,
I don't know.
It seems like there was time wasted. Like a minute of the time was wasted on the Modern tournament.
Right. So like I don't know. I don't think it would have changed the overall result, but like it probably would have made me feel better to just be like, yeah, you should have gotten a DQ loss or like a 1 match or like a 1 game loss.
Well, the only way it could potentially change the results is it could change your headspace while you're in that game, right? Like you're there, you're like, what's going on? My opponent's super duper late. He should be getting a game 1 loss, but then he doesn't, and so it's like, oh man, okay, so now I actually have to play all 3 games. Right? That totally changes how much you're willing to risk and stuff.
I guess that's true. So game 1, it's against Mono Blue Spirits, and they just have everything. Again, that's the typical Dan experience. My opponent has everything. I have not. I don't have enough to win the game. They have their lords. They can then flash in and do addition. All this stupid stuff, and I'm just like,
not to mention they're in the air and you're on the ground.
Yeah, and all my stuff is sorcery speed. They can play at instant speed if they want to, and it was just a disaster. So yeah, I just lose that game. Game 2, I get a Redain on turn 3, like on my turn 3, and I'm like, cool. Their snowlands are going to come in tapped all the time. Like I'm just in a good spot now. And then I forget about their creature that gives the flash to everything, and I make a bad block, and then my Redain dies, and then they just still have more shit coming, and it's just like, I guess I just lose again, like for no reason, just because of this one bad block. I just lose the game, which I guess is what happens. But like I was really, really upset after that, just being like, I didn't get my game loss. I didn't, I made a bad block. I'm just in the worst headspace of this tournament.
I just think the only savior you could have had was if you had like a Brave the Elements in hand or something to help you out.
And I think, I don't remember what the sideboard guide says. It might say to side out the Brave the Elements, although because like they should be swinging most of the time anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. It just was what it was, unfortunately.
It was just rough. Yep.
Yeah. Game 2 or round 2, I played against Mono Green Devotion. Won game 1 very handily. I just had Ossification and Brutal Cathar in my opening hand, and I got to turn 3 mana. So like I could do all that stuff. I got a turn 1 like Hopeful Initiate or whatever, and they just couldn't resolve anything, and nothing was hitting the battlefield, and I was just able to bring them down to like 5 before they played like a 3 mana creature. I was like, all right, cool. I still have lethal on board, and so they just scooped.
They scooped good because it's mono green. They should scoop when you take out their dorkies.
Yeah, they really should. Game 2, it was they just had they went turn 1 elf, turn 2 elf Haywire Might, and I went what? And like there's this Ossification sitting in my hand. I'm like, well, this is dead because it hits the battlefield and then just goes, all right, now I select a target. And Haywire Might just goes, all right, in response to that, sack, kill your enchantment. And then after that, they're able to resolve a Nykthos and then get down something else. And then, or not resolve a Nykthos, but like get a Nykthos down and then go Portal to Phyrexia with Karn. And then sack my 3 creatures that I had on board. And I'm like, all right, well, I just scoop here because I can't play. Like there's 3 creatures. I don't really have much else in my hand, so I'm just going to go to game 3 on the play, and hopefully it goes better. And mono green players, this is a public service announcement. For the love of God, if you ever want to beat mono white, you don't keep a 6-card hand that has turn 1 land elf, and
come
then
on,
nothing, and just like hopefully relying on your elves to live. Don't do that. You are just going to lose all the time.
Yeah, because there's 4 pieces of hate that gets brought in for the elves.
Yeah, it's
portable holes.
It's 4 portable holes. And then I'm gonna have portable holes. I'm gonna have my Ossifications. I'm going to have my Brutal Cathars. So what are you doing with that? And it's just like from there they never drew. I think they eventually drew a second land, but it's like way too late in the game for that. And it's like, all right, you're dead.
Yeah.
And so I win because greedy mono green keeps. Round 3, I played against my opponent from the RCQ that I won in the finals. He was my finals opponent. He's also on mono green. And game 1, I just had the nuts. Like it was like the anti-Dan hand where I was like, all right, turn 1, 1 drop. Turn 2, I think it was Thalia. And I'm like, all right, turn 3, Brutal Cathar, Exile, Pelucranos or something. And then turn 4, Adeline. And then turn 5, Thalia's Lieutenant, Brave the Elements. And it's like,
I win.
You don't win this game, unfortunately. I'm sorry to say.
Fantastic.
And he was a little salty after it, and I gotta admit, I can understand why. Like that is the nuttiest draw that you could possibly get from mono white.
Yeah. So, that's pretty nuts.
So game 2, it is. I have a Brutal Cathar and a Coppercoat Vanguard on the battlefield, and I'm like, all right, cool. This is pretty good right here. Like, there's a pretty good setup. Like, there's a Pelucranos Reborn underneath the Brutal Cathar. I'm in a pretty good spot.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to kill him next turn. Like, he's at 7 life.
Oh, jeez.
Like, great. I'm going to kill this man next turn. Even if he plays, like, something, I still have 7 power on board, so I'm going to kill him.
FBI. It's a game.
Yes. That's the FBI. It's a game.
It's a game.
My opponent goes... He has 6 mana because he has, I think he has Nykthos. He might have Nykthos, I don't think it matters. He goes 6 mana. He either has 6 or 5 mana, and this is important because I don't remember what it is, but he has one. He has one or the other. He goes Sky Sovereign, and I'm like, well, shit. Because if he has 5 mana, and I don't remember because we just resolved it. If he has 5 mana, I have the Coppercoat Vanguard on the battlefield, so he should have to pay for ward. I don't remember if he does. I don't remember if he has 6 or if he has 5. But if he has 5, and I miss the Brutal Cathar trigger, I lose the game. I lost the game strictly because of that, and that was bad. Right. I should have won the game strictly because of that. Because what he should have just done was kill the Coppercoat Vanguard, and then it's like, okay, maybe I don't have lethal, but I still have something. Right. And your Pelucranos Reborn is still underneath my Brutal Cathar. But he kills my Brutal Cathar with the Sky Sovereign. And that could completely changes the complexion of the game. Like, I can't kill him anymore because I have one less creature. He has a Pelucranos Reborn on the battlefield. And I just don't have enough to get through to him now. Like, I don't have a Brave the Elements. I have nothing. So I just lose in that spot.
That's awful.
So I'm like, all right. I can win game 3 on the play. I've done it before. So game 3, I mulligan to 5. And it's like, I have no removal on this hand, but I'm at 5. And I can't possibly mulligan this. Because first hand was a 1 land with, I think, an Igancho. And it was like, here's like a Brutal Cathar and an Adeline. And it's like, I can't play either of these cards. So I ship it back.
Yep.
Second hand, it's just a mutagenic, or not a mutagenic, Mutavault. It's just a Mutavault. That's my hand. I'm like, I can't keep this.
The worst 1 land hand to get.
Yes, like I think the rest of it was at least playable with a 1 lander. I think I might have had a Portable Hole, but I'm like, I can't play this either, so I have to ship this back. And then it was a playable 5. It was a pretty decent 5. It's just it wasn't going to beat a mono green 7. Unless it was like a very greedy 1 land keep and you don't draw anything off the 1 land keep. Yeah. You just like have an elf and then you can maybe play like a Wolf Willow on turn 2. But like outside of that, like I was not beating a single thing green was doing. It was one of those like, I have to keep this, but this is not winning me the game ever. And I was right. It didn't win me the game.
That's awful. That's awful. That the mono white humans deck really needs a way to like dig through a little bit off those bad draws.
Yeah, there's a couple things I've seen, like Search Party Captain. Like I've seen that in Pauper in a mono white deck. But it requires you to attack with things first because it's like a 4 mana 2/2. But when it ETBs, it draws and it reduces this cost for each creature you've attacked with this turn. So like in theory, on like turn 3, you can go, all right, Hopeful Initiate, Thalia's Lieutenant. Or no, Thalia and then Mutavault attack and still have that one white mana to go, all right, here's Search Party Captain, I draw a card. Like,
yeah.
But like, I don't think that's very good.
I think we need something on the lines of Recruitment Officer, but less of an activation cost.
Yes, because it's 4 mana. Like, and if you're activating Recruitment Officer on turn 4, you're the game's kind of over. You just kind of don't win.
Yeah, you didn't get your Thalia. Or not Thalia, Adeline.
Yeah. So like I'm 1-2 and it's like, all right, if you have 2 losses, you don't top 8 ever. Like I did the tournament math, like 3 people were gonna make it at X0, 2 people were gonna make it with a draw, and then 3 people were gonna make it X1. And like I don't hit top 8 here, so I'm just leaving. So that was it. I just did not. I didn't play well in game 1 or in round 1. I know that for a fact, and I will admit that. Round 3, I don't know how much different I could have done. Maybe the only thing would be like the Brutal Cathar. Remember, like seeing if the ward existed.
Yeah. But it's also been a long 2 days of Magic. Mm-hmm. You're a little fatigued, so I definitely understand missing a trigger like that too.
But again, he might have just had 6 mana, and it doesn't matter. So
that's possible.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I asked him about it. I'm like, so Sky Sovereign. And he went, yeah, it's a new adaptation like that I made. Like, because like mono white humans really fucks this deck up sometimes. So like having a Sky Sovereign be able to resolve and just be like, all right, I want to pick something and kill it at any point, and then be able to crew it and keep doing it over and over while still getting in 6 damage against you is pretty good.
Yeah, so really good. Yeah.
So he runs 2 in his sideboard, and he brings them both in. He doesn't even Karn Wishboard for them. He just brings them in. I'm like, all right, cool. Like, this
That's
is good
crazy.
beats.
Yeah.
This is good beats. I mean, you get your 2 ofs, I guess. It's fine.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. He only has 2 of them and he gets them all the time. That's insane. Unless he just mulligans to get them.
I
That could
think
be too.
I think he kept 7 in that final game.
Wow.
But I mean, like he had 5, or in the second game, he definitely I think he kept 6, and he might have kept it, but like he had access to like 1,000,000 mana, so I don't think it mattered.
Gotcha. Wow. It definitely sounds like a lot of Magic you played that weekend. Between the 2 days, it sounds like you played, if I did 6 rounds at minimum.
6 rounds of Magic.
Yep. Yep. It's fantastic.
Yeah. All that makes me glad is I qualified early, and also, boy, winning tournaments are hard. It's really easy to like think back to my RCQ and be like, wow, I must be a good player if I win this tournament, and then all of a sudden you just don't, you like all the other tournaments you play in, you don't even come close, and you're just like, it's really hard to win tournaments. You have to draw well, you have to play well, you have to luck out well. So yeah,
and it's not only your luck; it's your opponent's luck.
Yeah, you're playing against a lot of different variables. Like, you have to be lucky and good to win a tournament. That's what I found.
Awesome. Well, let's see here, Dan. We're moving on. Very excited to hear about that. But we also have some Wild of Eldraine stuff going on. At this point, we are fully spoiled. We have gotten to the point also where we know what's being reprinted.
Yes.
And we only have 10 reprints in this set. I believe in All Will Be One and Mom, there were 20 to 15 reprints. The only, I think, notable reprint we saw was Sleight of Hand.
Yes.
And that was 1 blue, or it's a blue. Look at the sorcery, look at the top 2 cards of your library, put one of them into your hand, and the other on the bottom of your library.
Yes. So the bottom of your library is very important, not your graveyard.
Yes. Yes, this is a basically 2/3 of an expressive iteration. It's the blue portion.
Yeah. Yeah, that's actually true. It really is. When you think
it's yeah. Because the only thing you're not doing is exiling.
Right. Which is fine. Because looking at 3 cards is really broken for 2 mana. Looking at 2 cards for 2 mana all the time is really good. At least I feel. And I think
looking at 2 cards for 1 mana is fantastic.
Oh, looking at 2 cards for 1 mana is fantastic. That's why Preordain was banned for the longest time in Modern.
Yeah.
And Preordain, you can see up to 2. It's like average like 2.5 cards with Preordain. Like 2 cards for 1 mana in Pioneer is kind of nuts.
Yeah. Yeah, what is it? There's Opt, right? I think Opt is the next closest thing to this.
Yes.
Which would be scry 1, draw 1.
Right. And on average, you are seeing 1.5 cards with Opt.
Right.
And it might be higher or lower, but it's around it averages out to 1.5 cards with Opt. Same thing with Consider. It's 1.5 cards with Consider as well.
Yep.
So this is strictly not okay. So it's not strictly better than both. I think this is strictly better than Opt. I think it is on par with Consider, because Consider,
I can see that, yeah.
Consider in Phoenix, and I'm specifically talking about Phoenix with this, and also the standard mono blue deck that you and I both like because it's like $40 to play the whole thing.
Oh yeah, the counter everything until you can get a Tolarian Terror out.
Yeah, or a Haughty Djinn, something like that, and then protect those because they're like so cheap to play. Like a Haughty Djinn is 3 mana. A Tolarian Terror at some point is just like 1 mana.
1 mana.
And you're just like, I have 1,000,000 mana and a Tolarian Terror beat me.
Fantastic. Yep.
Especially because like the Tolarian Terror protects itself with Ward. But the Phoenix deck, it is likely going to still run all of them. Consider, Opt, and Sleight of Hand. Especially with the configurations with Ledger Shredder. And that's where I'm interested, because like that's my kind of speed where you're just like cantripping and cantripping and cantripping. And then you are just like All right, finally, I get to play three. I get to play three spells. The Arclight Phoenix that's in my graveyard, or two Arclight Phoenixes in my graveyard, now gets to do their thing. This Ledger Shredder that's been chilling here the whole game also gets to attack. It seems fantastic.
I think it's just upside for the Phoenix deck. Maybe also some of those, not the Phoenix deck, but the
creativity.
No, the red blue decks that make a bunch of tokens.
Oh, the Pyromancer decks.
Yeah, Pyromancer, Iconopath, or whatever it is,
and then Saheeli also. I see sometimes.
Saheeli. Yep, yeah. I think those decks will benefit from this. It is at sorcery speed, so it's not going to be as great for them,
right?
But it's still a 1 mana draw card, so it can fuel them further. Yeah.
Well, and the other thing too is that in Modern, it was thought to be a potential replacement to, consider at the time because of Bowmasters, because you'd still look at two cards and you just place it into your hand instead of drawing it, which is great. Like, being able to go around Bowmasters is awesome, but like then Preordain got unbanned, and it's like, all right, we'll give this a shit about sleight of hand. I want to play Preordain.
Yep. But yeah, I think it's gonna. I think it's gonna be good. I think it's gonna be healthy. The rest of the reprints here, a lot of them really are just either from Eldraine, the original, Titanic Growth. Not really anything impressive there. Prophetic Prism, that's not currently in Pi. Oh yeah, it is. It is currently.
Yeah, it was reprinted in.
Phyrexia All will be one.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say it was reprinted relatively
Brothers
recently.
War and Dominaria United. Holy moly!
It's been reprinted in all those sets too.
Oh, it was United Commander or Dominaria United Commander, Brothers War Commander. Oh, I guess it would have only been Kaladesh. Kaladesh Remastered had it.
Oh, because I swear it was in a recent draft set too. I think it was also in All Will Be One.
It is definitely All Will Be One.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. So I mean, what that tells me for the draft environment, which like I don't care because it's the draft environment. I don't have to worry about this draft environment yet. It tells me basically that there's not enough fixing with the whole set. Like, because you also have the Crystal Grotto reprint, which was just put in Dominaria United, which is a nice popper reprint, but like it is also not very expensive and really only ever sees play in like the Tron decks in popper.
Right.
But like that tells me there's not enough fixing in
that, and evolving wilds as well.
I mean, evolving wilds is kind of whatever. I think it's in kind of like that, and Terramorphic Expanse are kind of in like every set. But like the only other like dual lands that I'm aware of in the draft environment are the creature lands that are rares. So if you're lucky enough to get those, good for you. But like I don't see that happening often for many people.
Yeah. I agree. I think there's one more card too that's being newly added. I don't know if it's being added. Oh wait, never mind. Hold on.
I'm now interested. What is this card?
I'm looking at Commune with Nature.
That's a good question. I don't know. I feel
because
like
I'm seeing the last reprint. It's only been printed 5 times. It was printed into Mystery Boosters, Modern Masters 2015, and then before that was 10th edition.
And then Champions of Kamigawa. So yeah, this is a new to Pioneer reprint.
This is a new to Pioneer reprint. That's why I'm looking at it right now. But it's 1 green, sorcery speed. Look at the top 5 cards of your library. You may reveal a creature card from among them and put it into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. So I don't think it's powerful. It could definitely help like Asban Greasefang.
Abzan Greasefang, yeah. Yes.
Yeah. I think that's the only deck that would really like this, but it's also not helping that because that deck likes to put cards into the graveyard, right?
Right.
So it's really to just dig for your Greasefang.
I think what you want with that deck specifically is like Commune with the Gods. Because Commune with the Gods puts it into the graveyard. I'm fairly confident of that. But yeah, because you don't want to play that. Yeah, I don't know. I don't see it in play.
It's an interesting card. that's being added to Pioneer is my thing. Yeah. But yeah, I think that's it for all the reprints that really we want to kind of go over. Everything else kind of has been printed recently or in the previous Eldraine set. So
yeah. In terms of reprints, I just kind of look at it and go, sure, like the sleight of hand's cool, but it only really affects one thing, and sleight of hand is more of a known quantity than a bunch of other cards, like the newly printed stuff that's coming out in Wilds of Eldraine. I'm sure there's gonna be a lot of good stuff from that, but like you look at sleight of hand, like we know what sleight of hand is. Like it was seeing modern play. It might not have been the greatest modern card of all time, but people were looking at it and testing it in modern. So like pushing it into Pioneer and into Standard, I'm not saying it's exactly a modern level power card, but like it is for certain going to be a good card in Pioneer and Standard.
Agreed with that. So get your 4 copies now. All right. So Dan, I think that brings us to the end here. With that, thank you everybody for watching. All you on the YouTube side, please go ahead, hit that bell button as well as subscribe. Get notified when we upload our League videos every day, work day of the week. Mm-hmm. Fantastic stuff. Dan, go ahead, let them know what to do on the podcast side.
Yeah, we're on your podcatcher of choice, most likely. If we're not on your podcatcher of choice, please let me know and I will fix it, because that's my area of expertise. You can review us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Good Pods, all that good stuff. If you can review us on your podcatching app, please do, because it helps us, I think, a little bit. I don't know. I've heard it said multiple times, oh, it helps people discover us. And it's like, I don't know about that. And I've heard people also say like, oh, I don't know. That's not really how it works. And it's like, all right, fine. But yeah, just subscribe to us somewhere.
It doesn't hurt.
Yeah, it doesn't hurt. It's okay.
And it's free. We don't charge for it.
Yeah, it's free. The next time we charge you for content, like, I don't know. I can't even conceptualize what content we would charge you for, because like it feels like we should be charging people for like the comments they leave, like or paying people for the comments they leave on YouTube. Like, hey, you missed Lethal here. It's like, oh, that's interesting. That's an interesting line that I never considered. Thanks for pointing this out, random commenter. You made me slightly better at the game.
That's right. And don't forget to watch us every day of the week that's not a weekend. Because I don't know. So you can yell at us and let us know how to be better players, because we want to get better one game at a time.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Like it's one of the few channels where we're going to say, yes, you're allowed to backseat us. Like backseating is fine here. We want to learn. Unless you're just like trying to play every fucking hand, like every turn for us, like don't do that.
If you do that, leave it in one single comment. That's very large.
So I can just ignore it. But like, yeah, if you notice something that we completely miss, like, or if there's a spot, because Bill says it all the time, like, if there's some place in this match that I've messed up, let me know. And it's like, yeah, Bill, I can see exactly where you messed up a lot. It happens.
Dan, you need to leave more comments then.
I leave enough. I try.
All right. Well, with that, I'm going to say we're wrapping today, and I really appreciate it. And everybody keep calm, spike on.